God has a perfect plan for everyone's life, even though it doesn't seem like that. Are you wondering why so many bad things happening in your life? Or are you thinking sometime that God forgot you? Today we want to have a look in Joseph's life and see how God was working in his life and meant it for good. And so we am going to read now a verse from Genesis chapter 50, verse 20. You indeed meant evil against me. God meant it for good, in order that he might do, as it is this day, to save great people alive. In the life of Joseph, many things seems to be unfair, and he could easily get desperate about it. But when we have a closer look in his life, we see that God is in control of everything in every single minute of his life. And we see how God is working everything out and turns it to good, even though others harm him. So we want to have a look today in 3 situations of Joseph's life and how God was in it. First, Joseph was sold to the Ishmaelites by his brothers. This is probably one of the most terrible things brothers can do to another brother. Just because of their jealousy and hatred, they sold Joseph for 20 silver pieces in order to get rid of him. And it is indeed a very terrible thing. But when we look into Psalm 105, we see that God was in it. There we read and learn that God sent Joseph before them, just because he wants to use Joseph as the sustainer of life. These are God's ways. We cannot understand God's ways, but when we look back at them, we just admire them. Secondly, Joseph was unwarranted imprisoned. Joseph was a good slave. He did nothing wrong, but because of the deceit of Pharaoh's wife, he was put into prison. And there he had to stay for a longer time. We don't know exactly for how long, but we know that it has been a few years. So Joseph, whatever he did in prison, we read that God made it prosper and that God was with him. And this is an encouragement for us as well, that we know whenever we have to face something unjustifiably, we know that God is with us, that he will never leave us nor forsake us. Knowing this gives us peace in every circumstance. So let's be encouraged to see God working in our life, even though it doesn't seem like this. Thirdly, Joseph is meeting his brothers again and speaking to them. So Joseph is now in a new situation. He's the second man of the state. And we see his brothers coming and asking for food. And we would think this is now the best opportunity to let them know how angry he is at them and how terrible it was for him what they did. But we don't read anything like that. We read that he doesn't want to judge them. And we read that he wants to care for them and to provide in the best way he can for the whole family. And we read even that he comforts their hearts. Oh, what a heart full of love. But what was the key for this love? The key is the verse we read this today. Here we read that he said, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good." Oh, this is the key for every heart of us to avoid bitterness. If we see God in our life and that he is working out everything, then we take it out of his hands and we are not getting angry or mad at those that harm us. Oh, what a great example for us. When we look at these situations in Joseph's life, it encourages us to see God in every detail of our life too. He is in control in every minute of our life. His plan is fixed and he always will fulfill his plan. He has a perfect plan for my and for your life. And this is the reason why we can trust Him, because He always means it for good.